Good morning, friends, wherever you are, and I hope you're having a great weekend so far. Welcome to today's Cichlids and Coffee live stream. Hope you're having a cup of your favorite beverage, whatever that might be, wherever you are. Sorry, I'm running a couple minutes here behind. What is it, 11:06? But I am preparing some video for you in the background. Hopefully I'm not going to run out of bandwidth. So Wally's Freshwater Aquatics is in the house. Hello to you. And Adam is here, McReynolds. Wet Sleeves Aquatics, great name, right? Ex-Collie Kev's here. Good to see you, Ex-Collie. Hey, Tracy, good morning to you. And Brian Park. Z-Zip, Brian Lightcap. Great group of people here today. Mighty Mike. Very good. TA420. NK, good to see you. Kendall G is in the house. Hello, Kendall. Good to see you. Eric. Soren looks like from Denmark. Good evening to you. Hey, Sundar. Good to see you, my friend. Glad you're here. Bill D. Hey, Bill. Good to see you. By the way, it is official. I am going to be going up to the Ohio Cichlid Extravaganza up there, that the Ohio Cichlid Association Extravaganza. I guess it's in Stronghold, and I will be going up there and hopefully being joined by my friend Jerry Martin. I know Josh is going to be up there, one of the channel sponsors, Josh from Cunningham Tropicals. So it should be a great time. Let me see how that background rendering is going. Okay. I am doing something in the background here that I hope to be able to share with you. So we have a pretty good topic, and this topic today is being driven by some comments and questions. And you get all kinds of comments and questions when you're on YouTube, and they're usually pretty upbeat and sincerely looking for information. Sometimes they're just critical, because they like to be critical, but for the most part they tend to be pretty friendly and honestly wanting information. And so the comments about today's topic ranged from, I don't understand why you set up your filter that way, to comments like, I've lost all respect for you. Which is always interesting coming from someone who I didn't know existed prior to that comment. I'm not sure what kind of impact that's supposed to have on me. But at any rate, when you're on YouTube and you put yourself out there, you're going to get all kinds of interesting comments. And I want to share with you why I set things up the way I do. And I've got a towel here. I had to dry everything off. I had an Oscar, my big red tiger, almost jumped out of the aquarium and latched onto my finger. It's still sore and red. He didn't I didn't bleed, but he held on pretty hard. And I am just glad he doesn't have big teeth like the chocolates and the Salvini. I think they have some good teeth. They would have broken the skin, but it's amazing how strong the jaw of an Oscar is. I mean, it was a little startling, and it really changed my mind about letting my granddaughter hand feed the fish in the 210. The African cichlids, they don't really jump out. They kind of stay in the water and attack very quickly. They attack the food, but they don't really tend to come out and go after my finger. Maybe if I held it there long enough they would, but it just doesn't seem to happen. But that Oscar will come out halfway up his body, halfway out of the aquarium, and latch on to whatever it is he thinks might be food. And his mouth is huge. He could probably get two fingers in there easily, right? So there was water everywhere. There was water on the 210. I mean, on the 300 behind me. From the 210 way over there, there was water on my computer. There was water all over the place. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for that AV check, ex-colleague Kev. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Kendall had some flooding. Okay, but you're okay now. That's good. I have a lot of friends, including my son down in Fort Myers. I was very, very concerned, and I've been concerned about East Tennessee and North Carolina. Horrible situation there, but then here comes another one, and it missed my son's area, but it did hit up in the Tampa Clearwater area, which is where that company is that I do some part-time work with, and a lot of dear friends and are there, and I was like watching it like a hawk. And they did have some tornado activity. And anyway, crazy to get a couple like that back to back. That was just kind of nuts, actually. So let me see if this video is ready for you, and if it's not, let's go ahead and get into today's topic. Before I do that, let's go ahead and do a couple very quick shout-outs. Very quick shout-out to my friends over at the Aquarium Co-op for all their help and support. Zenzo, Corey, and all my friends over there. They help me with things like filter pads and food and all kinds of good stuff. If you folks like to pick up some products that I've reviewed in the past, they're usually listed at my Amazon. And if you use this Amazon link to access Amazon, whether you get something from my store or not, you will be helping the channel. Amazon will give the channel a little bump. I think for every dollar you spend, if you use this link, the channel gets 0.0000 penny. So, but it doesn't change your price. Your price stays the same. And let's see. Also, I think I mentioned him already, but let's give a little shout out to Josh. Looking forward to seeing Josh over at the OCA in Stronghold, Cleveland. And that's going to be the weekend before Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is falling this year at the very end of the month. So the weekend before Thanksgiving. And if you go to that the OCA, they have, I think they have shuttles that will bring you from the conference over to Big Rich, Ohio Rescue, and he'll be giving like tours of the Ohio Rescue, Fish Rescue, the OFR, during the conference. So during the event. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be more cichlid focused, more freshwater focused. I love Aquashella, don't get me wrong. I love seeing you folks there. I love going there, but the it does have, I would say, a 40% concentration on salt, and I love looking at saltfish. I love corals, but it's not really my jam, as I say. It's not really my public, but at any rate, so it's a little bit more appropriate. I might still go to Aquashella. Just depends how things go financially. After today's live stream, I'm going to the post office to send a 6-figure check to the Internal Revenue Service. So I'm going to need to make a lot of money if I'm going to be going to Aquashella. Oh, boy. Never a dull moment. So, also, I want to give a big shout out to my moderators, best moderators on YouTube, as I like to say. And also a big shout out to my wonderful monthly channel supporters, my Garage Gang members. These are the folks who support the channel through a monthly payment via Patreon. It starts for as little as $3 a month. And those of you with little asterisks near your name there are doing a little more than that. You are going above and beyond, and I am very appreciative. It really helps to keep things rolling here. So there you go. Thank you, Brian. AV Crystal Clear. I love getting feedback like that because you never know unless you have a monitor running, and I don't have a monitor running. All right, let's go ahead and make this official by doing our little dropping logo. There you go. It's official now. Thank you to all of you who have tuned in. And I see Robin has jumped in. Michael is here. Jim's Fish. KZ Tropicals. New YouTuber from Jordan. Wow. Very, very cool. Sump is the best. He's a Sump fan. Yep. I think you're right. TA420. I think if you hold it up there, especially if you're holding something like a piece of frozen krill, they will get up there. They will get up there, I think, and snatch it, and in doing so, get a little bit of your finger too, and some of the African cichlids do have a little teeth action going there. I think Mabuna have the biggest teeth. Mexicali fish keeper in the house. Buenos dias, amigo. My youngest daughter just got back from Mexico City. Had a great time. CC Custom Leatherworks in the house. I'm glad you jumped in, my friend. And if I miss your name, it doesn't mean I don't like you. It just means that I didn't see your name. That's all it means. So let's talk about today's subject. And let me check one thing here. Okay, so it looks like what I wanted to get ready for you is ready. So I'm going to add it here. This is the media source. I'm adding something that I can share with you during the stream. It'll just take me 2 minutes here. Bear with me. All right. So I've got two things for you. One of them is some of you might have seen that update that I posted on the ATO. I'll just play it for you. Pop off from my friends over at Higer underneath my 210-gallon American cichlid tank. And I decided to let it run until it ran out of water. You can see the unit down there. It's flashing, and I wanted to test the alarm system on it to see what happens. You can hear it down here. So the bucket's out of water. It ran for over a week and kept the sump at the perfect water level. There you go. You get the gist of it. I've been very happy with how that ATO has been functioning, keeping that sump at the exact right level. I did want to run it down, dry it out, and just see how it would alert me. And the alarm is very, very loud. My wife came upstairs and said, "There's something going off in your fish room," and so that's good. That's what you want that alarm to do. I also have a lap that I'm going to share with you today, a lap of the fish room. But let's talk about today's subject. And you know, I get these comments very often, especially on some of my older videos where I was loading up a canister. I was loading up a Sun 704B, and and I wanted to do the video, but all I had on hand was a few different fragments of media, including some blue bio balls. And boy, oh boy, did I get a lot of comments about those. Why are you putting those big floating blue bio balls into a canister? I get it. It was all I had when I did that video. And the point I was making was that I want biomaterial to be the last thing that the water touches before it goes to the aquarium. Now, that has been a point of discussion with a lot of folks, and I just want to explain my thinking on it, and you can chime in, you can share your thoughts, and you can tell me what you think. You can agree, disagree. You can also, of course, as I always say, if what you're doing is working, continue your setup the way you've been setting it up. Don't hurry or rush to change things because some YouTuber said something. Because if you have a system that's working, don't disrupt it. Just let it work. But this sponges, in my mind, let me just make this first point. Sponges, in my mind, are perfect. They are the perfect, inexpensive, easy to work with filter material. They have this is a matten sponge from my friends over at Swiss Tropicals. Not cheap, they're expensive. I pay for him. He doesn't sponsor the channel or send me free sponges, but they last forever. And this is the sponge that I cut recently in that customization of a hang-on back filter that I did. I customized that Higer hang-on back with the high profile, that one, and I cut a chunk out of this, and I'm using it as the insert in that hang-on back. But you get tremendous surface area, tremendous water flow. Can it clog? Yes, of course. All media can clog, but as far as I'm concerned, you can use sponge all by itself, nothing else. No rings, nothing. Just sponge, and you'll be fine. You will do, your aquarium will do great. Your water will look good. Your fish will be floating in air. Blah blah blah. Right. So, however, if you choose, like a lot of us do, and as I am doing in my sumps, for example, if you choose to use media, in particular high-end media like your Marine Pure, ceramic type medias, your rings. In this case, I'm going to use for the example some of this Sarah Ciporax. Great stuff. And you've got the research here on the side. It's not just a ceramic ring. It actually is a very special kind of material that is optimal surface for the settling of necessary filter bacteria. But so if you're using something like that, some people have chimed in under my videos and have said, you need to put that first so that the gunk from the aquarium goes to the rings to feed the bacteria that's settled on the rings. I think that's false. I'll tell you why. The bacteria that's on those rings okay, here's a handful of those rings. The bacteria that's settling on these rings settles on the surface, but also settles inside, deeper inside the ring. This is particularly true on media that is, like those little sausages, like Biohome. It's extra true with things like Biohome. and also true with things like this, the Siporax. So if you put that media first, what's going to happen is it's going to be, within days, completely coated in gunk. And that gunk is going to really sort of nullify the surface area. It's going to cut off really any nutrients getting to the surface area. You're probably going to grow a little bit of anaerobic, because everything's going to be sort of deep in there, anaerobic. And you have to look at what is it that we're feeding beneficial bacteria. What you're feeding beneficial bacteria is nitrite, different from nitrate, nitrite, NO2, and ammonia. Nitrite and ammonia is in the water and will be extracted from the water by the bacteria that uses it as nutrition, as substance. So what you want to get to your biomedia is water, not gunk, water that has ammonia and nitrite in it. The gunk, it's not eating the gunk, it's eating the ammonia and the nitrite. And you want water movement on the surface of your media. You want oxygen to get to the media. The aerobic bacteria needs that oxygen. Now, will there be bacteria in the gunk that builds up around the media? Of course. There's going to be beneficial bacteria on every surface available. In my case, you know me, I like to use the substrate as my primary beneficial bacteria home. And then I do very light vacuuming to not disrupt that very stable bed of beneficial bacteria. Well, gee, if you don't disturb that, are you going to get gas pockets that are going to poison your fish? No, you're not. That's an urban legend. And if you did get a gas pocket, for example, maybe some sulfur or something, it would gas off. It would bubble to the surface, blow up, and gas off. So that's just an urban legend. Maybe a problem in the saltwater world, not a problem, as far as I know, in the freshwater world. Leave your substrates alone. Let that bacteria grow in there. You'll get anaerobic bacteria. So you'll get some bacteria in there that's going to eat nitrates, not just nitrite, but nitrates, and of course ammonia. So, getting back to the subject at hand, I run water. The first thing you want to know about your filter is, what is the water direction? In the case of the Sun 704B, the water dumps to the bottom of the canister from the tank, and then is moved upward by the pump that exists at the top of the unit, right? That head pump that is pulling water up. So at the very bottom, I'll have, ideally, coarse sponge, and then medium sponge, and then a finer sponge. So that water, the detritus and the gunk in the water has been pretty much removed, and then that cleaner water, still rich in ammonia and nitrite, runs over the media. And that's what I'm going for with my filters. I want the water to hit the sponge material, come out the other end free of gunk, and then run over this material, which has no mechanical filtering properties at all. It is strictly bio. So it's what it's going to extract from water. It's not going to remove any particles. And I've had people tell me, well, I put all rings in my hang-on back. So your hang-on back is exclusively a biofilter. It's not really doing any water polishing. So just things to consider. But I want clean water. And when I say clean water, water that is free of chunks, but still loaded with ammonia and loaded with nitrite. Now, is this, in filtering the water before the water gets to my biomedia, is this going to be a home for bacteria? Absolutely. And so the extraction of ammonia and nitrate is going to start in the sponge, because this is going to be loaded with bacteria, good bacteria. And then you're going to have your bio doing an additional extraction of ammonia and nitrite, and then the water goes back up to your aquarium. Now, do I use polishing material? Very often I don't use the pinky flosses, I don't use the polyfills, things like that in filters that are hard to get to, like your canisters, because there's a high water flow there, and that's gonna, if the filter's doing its job, it's gonna clog that up right away. And one of the things that I strive for, which I've been able to accomplish with the use of pre-filters on the intakes, is not having to crack open canisters except maybe once a year. And the pre-filter does a lot of the heavy lifting of the gunk and stops the food that the fish then peck off of it. And so the inside of the canister is really working as a big giant polishing unit. So at any rate, that's how I set them up. I set them up coarse sponge, medium, fine sponge, and then bio. And in some cases, coarse, medium, and fine, and no bio, because the bio will populate sufficiently in the sponges and the substrate to provide enough of a stable beneficial bacteria to support your aquarium. Now, I'll add a couple tips to that. In the very beginning, when you're doing this, go slow. Don't do any big, don't do deep vacuuming. If you have two filters, don't service them both at once. Go slow. Let your bacteria establish and become rock solid. And I think from my experience, it takes about 9 months, sometimes 12, to really get an aquarium where it gets into what I call a bulletproof type of a situation, where you could go in there and you could pull out all the decor and clean it all up and put it all back in, do a deep vacuuming and clean all the media in your filter, and you would be probably okay. 99% chance you'd be okay after about 9 months, because the substrate has developed such a strong biopopulation. If you're going with the deep substrate, if you're going bare bottom, or you have a 1/4 inch substrate, that's not going to necessarily be the case. And in that case, I would say go slow, only do one thing at a time, only do a filter without vacuuming. When you vacuum, don't do your filter. Again, the biggest thing I hear from people is, I just did maintenance on my tank, my fish are gasping, they're at the bottom, they're turning over, they're dying, what's going on? You created an ammonia spike, you created a pH shift, and something came in through the tap. Maybe your water treatment plant did something crazy. maybe you forgot to condition, and now you're about to lose 50, 80, maybe all your fish. So there you go. There you have it. So what do you think? What do you think here? Let me see what some of your comments are. And let me pull up the chat. Hold on here. Let me pull up the chat and see what's on your mind before I play this other video for you. Aaron Davis, I've been through earthquakes and hurricanes. I'll take earthquakes any day over her. Yeah, I agree with you. At least when the earthquake is over, you can find most of your stuff. Hey, Denny. Good to see you there, buddy. One of my wonderful moderators. Jerry's in the house. Another moderator. Jerry, were you here when I was talking about you and I going to Ohio? Jerry and I will be walking around making trouble. I think I'll take my camera. We'll shoot some video. Any questions, comments, or ideas, go ahead and share them now. I'm scrolling through. I'll tell you one thing. When I look at some of the video from North Carolina, it certainly changes your perspective on what's important and what isn't. When you look at how entire towns are gone, and as one person put it, the geography of the area has changed. Aaron says fires are the worst disaster. Man, it's all bad. Branton Lightcap. I agree, pre-filters are amazing at prolonging the cleaning of canisters. I also clean mine once, maybe twice a year. Yeah, I tell you, what it does is it completely changes the main complaint that people have about canisters, which is they're heavy, they're bulky, they're hard to work with. It also reduces the probability of leaks because canisters are, like, the more you mess with them, I think the more probability there is that you're going to have a leak. You're going to have a section that isn't, it becomes a little loose, or an O-ring that gets flattened out or cracked. So the more you just leave them alone and just let them do their thing, the better. And sometimes someone will make a comment that they're servicing their canister, once every 2 weeks or once a month, and it's like, oh my goodness. It's like it sort of defeats, in my mind, it defeats the purpose of a canister, which is partly that it can go for a very long time. Now, part of what fuels that kind of activity is the belief that a canister can be a nitrate factory if not cleaned out regularly. And again, we're getting into urban legend. Apparently, what happens is that detritus, after a while, becomes benign. In other words, it stops being a pollutant. It just becomes like dust that doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any impact on the aquarium after a certain amount of time. And a lot of the cleaning that we do, honestly, is really just for our aesthetic pleasure, because we want to see a clean tank. We want our fish floating in air. I remember one time Joey, the king of DIY, showed us a tank that he had like in the back somewhere that was like being neglected. It was all overgrown with algae and it was all green and but the fish in it were like breeding and beautiful. So a lot of what we do, if we really want to be honest with ourselves, is for our viewing pleasure, not necessarily helping the fish And I'm not advocating keeping your fish in murky water or dirty water. But what I am saying is that very often we can go too far in the direction of messing too much. Like that t-shirt I have at my store, for success, mess less. We can start to mess too much, and by doing so, stress the fish, which impacts their immune system and makes them more probable to get sick, and risk ammonia spikes and pH shifts, which are the main cause of fish death after we do maintenance. So hey, Whip in the house. Hey, Whip, can you make it up to the OCA the weekend before Thanksgiving? Come on by the OCA, because it looks like Jerry and I are going to be there. All right, let's see some of your comments here. Brian Park. Now, some people don't really understand that whole bioball, floating bioball philosophy. The reason people use those is because it's almost like a moving bed. They like something that is banging up against each other so that dead bacteria starts to get knocked off. And after a while, apparently, here's the theory, and after a while, what you do is you end up with a very strong strain of beneficial bacteria, because the weak beneficial bacteria has been selected out through natural selection. And so you end up with this very strong beneficial bacteria holding on to the bioballs. So anyway, the bioballs do get, they some people don't like them. They comment on them. Wally's Fish World. I think you're making a comment about our friend across the pond guru, Richard Threw, and it's all anecdotal, and by that what I mean is he says it works. It makes sense when you hear it, and are you going to see a noticeable difference? I don't know. I know he's all about getting our filters to maximize in their function. So sprinkling a few bioballs on the bottom so that when the water comes in, those catch some of the big pieces before it goes. And yeah, probably the next mechanical filtration, the sponge will probably clog up slower. He's also very big on egg crate sponges, because the egg crate sponges have more surface area, and that additional surface area again takes longer to clog up. Just make sure you have the egg crate pointed against the flow of the water. So if the water's coming this way, the egg crate is here and the flat side is here. So the bio rings catch some of the big pieces, and it doesn't clog this surface up, because if this gets clogged up, your gallon per hour, right? Your GPH is going to be a lot slower for that canister. Canisters, except perhaps for the Sun, which I think is tested with media, but even the Sun, after it's run for a while, the GPH goes down up to as much as 50% or more, because you're clogging it up, and so it makes sense. The motor works a little harder, right? The pump works a little harder, but I don't know. That's your call, Brian. I mean, I'm sorry, Wally. That's your call on that one. I was doing it in California, and I stopped doing it, not because I didn't think it didn't work. I just stopped doing it for no real reason at all. It's just something I just didn't do the last time I set up my canister. So Crazy for Seahorses says that I like my canister after a fleece roller. Okay, so you're not talking about using a canister in conjunction with a fleece roller, because that would mean that you were running them as a sort of a daisy chain. You're saying that maybe just compared to a fleece roller. For those of you who don't know what a fleece roller is, if you have a sump, they now make these mechanical towers that have the water hitting a sheet of fleece, which is sort of, it's like a sock, like a canister sock filter, except it's a strip of fleece, and it has a motor, so the fleece is slowly rolling up into a disposable canister, into a disposable roller, and so you're getting clean fleece without you touching it for a period of time until you run out of fleece. Then you pull it out, you put a new roller in. So it's like an amazing pre-filter. So I think what you're saying is you like that most, and then a canister perhaps second. But yeah, I wouldn't mind one of those fleece rollers, but I don't know if I can incorporate it into my DIY sumps. Let's see here. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, and then if not, I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you that I created. Let me see if I can find it here. I haven't watched it yet or checked it, but let me go ahead and play it for you. It's just a raw lap of the fish room. I may have to adjust the volume very, very quickly, but hold on one second. Let me go ahead and do that. Hello, friends. Let's do a lap of the fish room. All right, like I said, I hadn't done anything to it, so it looks like it's not in scale. Let me adjust it a little bit. All right, so I'm going to do a 2-minute adjustment just to get this so it's viewable. See how I can do that. Bear with me, folks. I think I've got this figured out. Hold on. Maybe not. Let me see here. Okay, I've got a plan B here. In the meantime, start thinking of what questions you'd like to ask me. I'm almost there. Hello friends, let's do a lap of the fish room. Take a look at what's going on in here. We'll start with this 90-gallon. All right. I'm not sure why it's not letting me adjust the size of it. You may have to end up watching it when I release it as a standalone video. But for some reason it's not letting me adjust the size. Let's see here. All right, I may have to actually just show you this as a standalone video because it's not letting me size it so that it makes sense when you're watching it. Hello friends, let's do a lap of the fish room. Take a look at what's going on in here. It's just too big. We'll start with this 90-gallon aquarium behind me here. Let's dive into this 90-gallon. All right, here we go. I think I've got it. Hold on. That beautiful albino Ochart, developing very nicely, eating well. The other ones that I had in here did not eat well, and they got very emaciated. I can't take the pressure. This one is much more aggressive when it comes to the food. You'll see behind. Hello friends, let's do a lap of the fish room. Take a look at what's going on in here. We'll start with this 90-gallon aquarium behind me here. Let's dive into this 90-gallon. There's that beautiful albino Ochart, developing very nicely, eating well. The other ones that I had in here did not eat well, and they got very emaciated. This one is much more aggressive when it comes to the food. You'll see behind him there that little female red tear. She's doing great. Not too aggressive. I think if she was bigger, she'd be much more aggressive. But these fish are big and kind of keep her in check. They're not intimidated by her. Red spotted Severum looking really good. Those Congos that I got from Josh over at Cunningham Tropicals are they're just blown up. They're just beautiful, great finnage, great color, very, very active. Love the sort of candy stripes on those Congo tetras. All the fish were just fed, so you're going to see some particles floating around, not too much, but usually you'll see a little bit of food dust. The food I use doesn't cloud the water too much. The only food that I'm using currently that will sometimes leave a little bit of a mist in the tank is some of that extreme big fella, and I'm talking about those giant pellets. Those will sometimes leave a little bit of dust floating around. Here is the 55-gallon planted community tank. Little ember tetra there. Look how cute he is. Got several of them in here. I think about 6 or so. Little school of rummy nose. Some neons down there. Tons of these very prolific snails. Some people think they're They're rabbit snails. Some call them pagoda snails. I just think they're cool. Got several cories in here, maybe 4 or 5 cories, different kinds. School of rasboras swimming up higher, along with the some of these 24Ks. They like to swim high in the tank. Around the middle you have those little rainbows, neon blue rainbows. Some lemon tetras that I've had for quite a while. Little embers are so cute. I've got a problem with the heater here in this tank. This heater is, I don't know, it's just dead. It's burned out. So I'm going to replace it. Probably use that new red Hydra heater that I reviewed to keep this guy nice and comfortable. It's getting cold. The garage is getting cold. I do have a very good floor heater unit that I can use, but the heaters are going to be kicking in now. Beautiful red tear. Feste, male. Hopefully we'll be able to get him together with that female at some point. There's a little bit of a background alarm noise. Down here you'll see the flashing lights of the auto top off. I released a short on it, a short video, and it's giving me an alarm that the bucket is out of water. I actually did it on purpose. I wanted to intentionally see what kind of a alarm system. It's pretty loud. I unplugged it and replugged it again, so it's a little bit quieter than it was. There's a Nicaragua tucked away in that cave there. That cave used to belong to the Salvini, but the Nicaragua has been using it. Very, very cute. Looks like the sunrise function is on one of the lights, so you're going to get a little bit of a red tinge here. There's that beautiful electric blue Ochart. You can see I use some of the big fella pellets in this tank. You can see a little bit of cloudiness. There's Sally the Salvini back there. This is her cave, the one she defends. This Oscar stuck to my finger this morning. Jumped out of the tank when I was feeding him, hung on my finger. Actually hurt a little bit. Got a pretty strong jaw, fortunately not real sharp teeth. Probably the only fish in here. Well, I take it back. The chocolates will jump out, and they do have sharp teeth. So you got to watch it with them. Geos are looking great. 2 of them in here. They still chase each other a lot. Oh, there's the pleco. He never shows up. Just hides there in the rocks. Does come out after a feeding though. If we go over here, you'll see the other geos. This one's actually got some nice color in his fins already. Maybe a male. 3 redhead tapajos. I do want to get 3 more. I just haven't had time. I was out of town, but now I'm back. But those are 3 redhead tapajos. Ideally, I want 6, a group of 6. This tank is being super filtered with 2 sponges from the Aquarium Co-op. There's one, and then another one of their small sponges. Then I have that big old Higer hang-on back, which I just made a customized sponge for, if you saw that video. And by the way, if you ever cut a sponge, be sure to cut it low enough so that if it does get blocked, water can flow over it. And I also have this little Phoenix on here. Here's Pleco World. Take a look at how many plecos are in here. Over 100. There's one of the parents. It's just unbelievable how many baby plecos I'm getting. You can see little teeny ones that are brand new. And then you also have these little mystery fry in here that I don't know where they came from. I'm feeding them North Fin Fry Starter. They all seem to be thriving. We'll see. I don't even know what they are. There's a shrimp in here somewhere. Usually he likes to hang around on that back sponge, but I don't see him. He's a master at hiding. Sometimes he's even up here. Look at how all these snails are hanging out of the top. It's the 300. All the fish I recently picked up from Andre are doing great. Look at that guy, little blue nova. This guy's blue coming in. Yeah, you're beautiful. He's really a camera hog. Leucochromis. Baby Fusco. Big spot. The little Taiwan reef. Fish are leaving him alone, thank goodness. I was afraid this fire hap here was going to go after him. A Protomelis. There's that eye biter. He's behaving for the most part. Fingers crossed. Beautiful hawk. That trout likes to stay near the top. Hawk is more mid-range. My new fish right there. Beautiful. All right, that gives you an idea. I'm going to go ahead and edit that up and clean it up. And sorry about the suspense, but it was actually created in the background at the beginning of this live stream. Me and my last minute antics. So there you go. Any questions, comments, ideas, tips? Go ahead and share them now in the chat. And possibly I can respond to them. If not, I think we're nearing the end of our hour together. I want to thank all of you for joining me. Thank you to my wonderful moderators, my wonderful Patreon supporters. And Ron, thank you for suggesting that people hit the thumbs up. If you missed some of it, please stop by and watch after it posts up and becomes a regular video on YouTube, because that helps the live stream gain traction. I have a few things to do here today. I've got to swap out that heater. I'm going to possibly, I've got to run to the post office and drop off that nasty letter I showed you at the beginning. I've got to possibly pick up some more redhead tapajos. I'm just falling in love with these little guys. They were very shy at first. Now they're looking great. They're interacting and just being very, very cool. They're going to end up very, 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 very pretty, I can tell. So I want to thank all of you for being here. You are the best. You rock, my friends. And I think with all that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and end off. There will be a live stream this coming week. And I may be a midweek live stream. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, thank you, everyone. You are the best. You rock. Thank you to my wonderful supporters of the channel, Aquarium Co-op, Josh at Cunningham Tropicals. Thanks to Higer for all the stuff you keep sending me. And you rock, my friends. Bye-bye for now.